Ever have one of those nights where the air crackles with unspoken desires, where every touch feels electric? Liam and I were lost in that space, tangled in sheets and shared breaths, when 5 little words shattered the intimacy. 5 words he never saw coming. Scarlett's here. The hush in the room thickened, heavy with the weight of our stolen moments. Then, the chime of the doorbell sliced through the silence, and for the first time that night, a look of utter shock and disbelief washed over Liam's face. His fingers rested possessively on my thigh as I shifted closer, the warmth of his breath a familiar comfort. The sheets beneath us were a testament to our closeness, the room holding the lingering warmth of our shared glances. I moved slightly, watching the subtle tremor in his breath, the sudden stillness that settled between us. Leaning forward, I placed my hands on his chest, our breaths mingling in the charged space. He looked like he wanted to speak, but the words caught in his throat. His grip on my sides remained steady, a silent question in his touch. His eyes searched mine, but I held the reins. Every movement felt deliberate, drawing his focus exactly where I wanted it. A slow smile played on my lips as I lowered my voice, tracing a languid line across his chest. "Not yet." He nodded silently, his breath catching. I shifted again, and he exhaled sharply, his shoulders tensing beneath my hands. I didn't release him. I stayed present, savoring the moment until words became unnecessary. With a soft laugh, I leaned forward, my heart pounding as I pressed my forehead to his. He remained quiet, still wrapped around me, as if he hadn't fully returned from the world we'd created. It was the quiet intimacy I craved, a moment completely ours. I leaned close, my voice a soft murmur in his ear. "Scarlett's on her way." His body went rigid. "Who?" But the doorbell chimed again, cutting off his question. He froze, his eyes wide. I smiled knowingly. His gaze remained locked on mine as the doorbell echoed through the apartment. He didn't move, lying there silent, stunned, and completely still. I pressed a slow, deliberate kiss to his lips, then slipped from the bed, the cool air a stark contrast against my skin. I reached for the silk robe draped over the chair, tying it loosely at my waist, and walked barefoot to the door, not uttering a single word. I could feel his gaze following me, a palpable tension in the air. When I opened the door, Scarlett was already beaming. Her dark hair cascaded over one shoulder, and her wine-colored dress flowed beautifully as she stepped inside. She entered without hesitation, her understated perfume filling the doorway, her presence radiating a quiet confidence. "Wine?" I asked, already moving towards the kitchen. "Perfect," she murmured, her eyes flicking past me, landing on the man still waiting in our bed. I poured 3 glasses, the soft clinking a delicate sound in the quiet apartment. I heard the rustle of movement. By the time I turned, Scarlett stood in the bedroom doorway, one hand resting casually on the frame. Liam had sat up, the sheet low on his waist, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Scarlett's eyes moved over him, steady and unreadable. "You look good," she said softly. His lips parted, but no sound escaped. I handed Scarlett a glass first, then moved to Liam. His fingers brushed mine as he took the glass, his touch unsteady and warm. His eyes hadn't left her. "She knows," I murmured, easing onto the bed beside him. "About that night, the dream you told me." A flush crept up his neck. I sipped my wine, then gently took his glass and set it aside. Scarlett stepped fully into the room, her movements slow and deliberate. She stopped directly in front of him, close enough for him to feel her presence. Her hand lifted, and she reached out, touching his chest lightly. He looked at me again, a silent question in his eyes. I gave him a single, subtle nod. Scarlett leaned in, close enough that he could have kissed her, but he didn't. He didn't pull away either. And when he finally returned her kiss, still in a state of shock, still uncertain, I rested my hand on my leg, acutely aware of every breath we shared. Their lips lingered this time. Scarlett's hand moved to the back of his neck, drawing him closer. I watched his lips part beneath hers, a slow surrender. His shoulders relaxed, as if the reality of the moment was finally sinking in. The questioning look in his eyes had vanished, replaced by a growing hunger. I rose slowly, letting my robe fall open just enough as I moved behind him. Stepping behind him, I placed one hand on his side and the other lightly across his shoulder. My lips found the warm, flushed skin beneath his ear, and I pressed a gentle kiss there. His breath hitched. His hand found my side, resting there. Scarlett didn't break the rhythm of her kiss. Her hand traced a slow, deliberate line across his chest. She paused for a fleeting moment, her hands suspended as if contemplating the next move. He gasped softly, the sound muffled between their lips, and I kissed the corner of his jaw as her fingers stilled, then pulled back slightly. I lowered myself beside him, my thigh brushing against his. The strap of Scarlett's dress had already slipped down one shoulder, revealing a tantalizing glimpse of skin as she moved. She turned slightly, our eyes meeting. No need for words, no hesitation, just a shared understanding. We moved closer together, an unspoken alignment. Each gesture was intuitive, understood without a single word. Buttons were undone. The sheet was eased down. Our fingers brushed in quiet unison, revealing more than we could ever say. He inhaled sharply. One hand gripped the sheet, while the other gently brushed my hair back. Scarlett climbed onto the bed beside him, and his hand reached for her instinctively. She leaned into him, kissing him again, deeper, slower, and I moved closer. We surrounded him. I let my hand follow the line of his torso, a steady, languid exploration. Scarlett placed her hand on his leg, mirroring my touch. He leaned back, his arms resting loosely at his sides, watching us both. I looked at Scarlett across his chest and reached out, my palm gliding from her collarbone down her arm, letting the contact linger. Silence filled the room, thick with unspoken desires. Scarlett leaned in towards my neck. His hand on my side tightened, and I knew there was no turning back from the path we were on. Scarlett was already seated beside him, facing him intimately as I leaned forward and kissed his mouth again, soft at first, then deepening until his grip on the bed tightened. A shaky breath escaped his lips, another sound stifled before it could fully form. I pressed my palm to his chest, feeling a subtle shift beneath us as he adjusted, whispering against his skin, "Just feel us." His breath came out uneven and ragged. Scarlett moved closer, her body molding against his. I kissed along his jaw as she anchored herself on either side of his ribs, steadying her arms. Scarlett's hair brushed lightly against my cheek as she leaned in. The space between us intensified, bodies pressing together, breaths slowing, creating a heat that lingered. He reached for Scarlett's hips, then for me, but I gently guided his hands back to his sides. I wanted him completely present, completely still. "Let us do this," I murmured, my lips brushing his ear. "You just stay right here." Scarlett's hand slid down the length of his spine as she leaned into him slightly, erasing the space between them. Her other hand slipped beneath his, lacing our fingers together. He was still, quiet, utterly focused, holding his breath. Scarlett leaned lower, trailing kisses along his neck while I moved across his collarbone. I leaned in and pressed a brief kiss to his shoulder, then rested there. We remained close, our focus completely aligned. I moved with intention, steady and firm, anchored in the stillness. Scarlett's body pressed against my back, her arms wrapping around my waist. I leaned into her. She leaned close, her breath grazing my neck, just enough to make my voice catch mid-sentence. He turned towards the sound, his mouth slightly open, eyes unfocused, wild. Scarlett's hand found my thigh, grounding me, steadying me. I leaned in further, lost in the weight and quiet intensity of the moment. Then, something shifted, unspoken and inevitable. Everything collided. The closeness, the stillness, emotion hit all at once, sharp and overwhelming. I folded forward, my breath coming in ragged gasps, needing a moment to regain my composure. One of Scarlett's hands was still intertwined with mine. I held still for a beat, letting the wave of sensation wash over me, and I let it stay. What do you think was racing through Liam's mind when Scarlett walked in? Would you have intervened, or simply let the scene unfold? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading, and if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Thanks for being here.